going on, guys? Welcome. My name is Josh. I'm with the Graded Investors community. I do breaks with the Graded Investors community, and I also do PSA subs. So for today, I wanted to invite you guys to have a little conversation with me. So I get asked all the time, which cards should I send to PSA and why? Or which cards should I send for grading, whether you want to use SGC, CGC, PSA, or even some of the newer companies that have come out that are pretty interesting. So we're going to go over some of that today. I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that have been asked. I did post this in the Facebook group. We'll scroll through those questions. This is a one-shot, meaning this is unedited. I'm just going to have this conversation with you. We're going to go through it, and I'm going to give you the information. Not going to edit anything out. We're just going to talk it out. So appreciate you guys coming out. Let's jump into it. So first things first, let's talk about the different reasons to grade your cards. So one might be because you're investing, okay? Investing cards could be and would include, and I'll show a few of these off. So when I first got started, this was one of the cards I thought I was investing in. Now it turns out it's just my greatest PC card, but an example, I did invest where I bought a couple cards I thought would be good. This one is not turning out well. And then I have bought some TCG stuff that I'm just investing in. I think it's going to be worth something long term. I also think it's pretty cool. But in my mind, it's an investment card because I think the card's going to be worth something in the future. So that's the first type of getting a card graded, is because you think it's going to be worth something in the future. And then I have a photo for that. Jeff, the investing guy. So he talks a lot about sports card investing, so I thought I'd use his photo. Again, cards you think are going to be worth something in the future, you're buying them because your hope is that they're going to go up in value. So getting those cards graded early on should be less expensive, but it also protects your investment, right? That card is now encapsulated, it's safe, you shouldn't have any issues with it. So the second person is the collector. We've got a number of collectors. I've done a ridiculous amount of PSA subs and a significant amount of BGS subs, but PSA is kind of our primary. For collectors, guys who just, it's for them, okay? So just to show you guys for myself, I have silly collection stuff, right? So for those of you who know me, you know that I love Adrian Peterson, so I've got a ton of Adrian Peterson. This one I was testing HGA to see how I like the difference, and I've never swapped it back to PSA. I'm a PSA guy. I like the fact that they fit in my displays. This card should. It's about the same size, but we'll see. I haven't put it up yet. But those are cards that I just collect. Another card I collect, Brett Favre. I just thought it was funny that he was with the Vikings. Mr. Rogers, fun card. This one right here, it's got the Menendez brothers. Again, it was a new company I was testing, but it's a Menendez brothers card. I thought it was really, really cool. And then I definitely went too deep on some Shannon Elizabeth cards. I'll show you again. Love this card, a classic. Should be in every collection. You can see it got a 3. So for me, a lot of times with the cards I collect, I will sell the better grades and keep the lesser grades, because for me, it's about the card. Again, a fun one. Harrison Phillips came over. I actually pulled this in a break for somebody, and they sold it back to me. So this one right here is another interesting card. You can see, my kid just walked in. Sorry about that, guys. But my Michael Jordan is right down here in the 12 uniform. If you guys remember the story, somebody stole his jersey before that game, and they didn't have a backup jersey, so kind of crazy. Somebody gave this to me. Just a cool card. Love it in the personal collection. This one right here. Only 5 of these made of the Impeccables. Adrian Peterson, and that just happens to be my birthday. So I love the American Pie movies. So you can see I've been collecting these. I think I have 8 or 10 now. A few of them are in at PSA. I buy every single one I see. Another Shannon Elizabeth, Jason Biggs. And then I'm starting to collect fun autos, guys that just have cool autos that I think are hilarious. So I've got a Bones auto, I'll have a Chop auto, and we'll have some other stuff here in the near future. So I'm pretty excited for that. Just silly stuff for the personal collection. When it comes to personal collection, you slab what you like. And you can see some of the cards grade well for me, some of them don't. For me, I just like the look of a card in a slab. And then as I've shown before I put them up on my wall here. You can see I've pulled down a few of the cards. I've got some off that back wall too, but I just love the way that looks, if that makes sense. So your last reason to do it is because you're a seller, right? We're going to use Ryan, Card Collector 2 here. Ryan grades cards all the time because it's going to increase the value. Ryan's a collector too, but we're just talking about his sales aspect of what he does. He goes to the card shows, he sells on Whatnot, he sells in his shop. He will grade a card because it's going to increase the value of said card. Okay, so it's a great reason to grade cards, as grading does increase the value, which is awesome. So again, this is a one shot. I'm just going straight through it. The first group, the investor group, it's really hard to quantify and put it into, numbers why we would grade one card versus another. Okay. But when it comes right down to it, you grade cards you think could go up substantially in value. If you don't think they would go up substantially in value, maybe you don't grade it. The nice thing about sending cards in to me, and I'll cover how our process works in the graded investors community, but I look over the cards for you as well, and I give you an assessment. I make a video for each person who sends cards in, and I say, hey, look, this is what this card should get. This is what this card should get. Here's the issues with this card. This is what I'm seeing, and this is why. So not only are you going to hopefully get a little bit better with your eye when you're looking at investor cards, but also for your flips that hey, look, this card has these issues, so it's probably not going to get a 10. So I know that it's going to probably be more in that 9 range. Is it worth sending? Is it not? If that makes sense. The second group is the collector. Okay, I'm a really big believer. You send what you like. If you'd prefer them in mags and one touches because you don't really like the look of PSA slabs, then that's how you collect, and I think that's awesome. But if you like having your cards protected, that's the way I like them. It's just the way I like them. You send them in, and I don't know that the grade matters as much. Some of those AP autos, they were going in either way, so that we're not going to dive too deep into. But again, if it's for your personal collection and you want it slabbed, I think you do it. If you say like, hey, for this particular card, it's got to be a 9 or better, I want at least a PSA 9 or 10, then when I look it over, you're going to get that assessment, and then you can make that decision at that time. So just a couple of those, but the big one we're going to cover, and I'm going to jump to another screen so you guys can see this. So the big one we're going to cover is whether or not a card is worth grading because you're looking to make a little bit of money. So we're going to talk about a couple different cards, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull a card, and we're going to use this card as an example. So Jaden Daniels, this is the rookie variation. This was sent in by one of the guys in the community. Thank you for letting me use it. He doesn't know I'm using it, but it's the variation silver, and it's a disco, or sorry, not a disco, no huddle. So what we're going to do is we're going to look this up. So first things first, I'm going to create 2 windows, and depending on the way your computer works, you can set it up like this, but this is the way I would set it up. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a new Google Doc, new spreadsheet, and I'm going to type in card PSA 8, PSA 9, PSA 10, and actually I'm going to do this because I wanted to put raw in there, so we'll go insert column left, and we'll type in raw. If you have any questions about this, I'll go over it, but this is just to give you a real good idea. So currently PSA charges $27 a card through me, and that's $5 to me, $2 for shipping. You're going to pay shipping either way, no matter how you send it. Oops. Hit undo. Just meant to stretch this one so we can see the card a little bit. So we'll type in 2024 and then $20 to PSA, and that's because of group subs. As long as we send over 20 cards, which this month is going to be 650, pretty easy to get them snuck in. Last month was 700, so we send in a lot of cards. Prism. You don't have to do all this information. You can put in whatever helps you to remember, but I'm just going to put it in like it would go into the PSA system. Daniels. And then this is the variation. No huddle. So what I'm going to do is grab this. We're going to go over here to eBay. I have mine set up to go directly into my store, but we're not going into the store today. So when you're looking at cards, you can see right here, it says bids are at $51. Okay, bids are at $102. Which one is right? Don't mess with that. Okay, we're going to scroll down and you're going to click sold comps. So what this is going to do is it's going to pull up recent sales. So raw, this card sells for anywhere between, like, let's say 160 and 200. So raw, let's just put it in as like 175, just as a number. Okay. It's good to have a starting point, and that's all we're kind of looking for. So most recent in a PSA 10, it sold for $750. It sold for $223.50. So this is what a lot of people talk about. If it gets a 9, it's going to be worth basically raw. That's fine. But we can put that in as, let's just put it in as 225, just again as a number. Oops. And again, we're going to put that in as PSA 9. But you can see 750 and a 10. So we're just going to scroll for a second, see if there's anything else. So 202. So I would aggregate that down to 215 when I see something like that. You can see one sold for 230, but that's best offer. I much prefer bids. When you see bids, it gives you a better idea of kind of where they're going. Best offer means somebody snapped it up and paid maybe too much for it. I don't know. Yeah, because like 575, that's way too high. So we're just scrolling. And I don't think we're going to see anything else. So what you can do is you can go up here, go all the way to the right, type in PSA 10, and then you can search. The other option you can do is you can come down here and you can click on graded. And you can say yes. And it's going to give you only graded cards. And so this makes your search better. So look, 202, 223 are the only 9s. And then 750 is the 10. So for the 10, I'm going to say it's not going to be 750. I'm going to say it's going to be more like 650, just because that's the only 10 out there that's sold. So when you're looking at this card, you go, look, if I'm just selling, I could sell right now for 175. Okay, cool. You get about 175. Again, could it be closer to the 250? Sure. You could put it up for 250. There are ones selling all over there. If I grade it, it's going to sell for around 200, 220. In that range, so I just put 215 as a middle number. But you can see that if you send the card in to me, or even if you feel strongly and you're sending it in yourself, man, if you think it's got a good shot at a 10, it's worth 2.5 to 3 times as much in a 10, basically 3 times over what it is raw. So that's an example of a card that you go, man, if you are selling it, that's a very interesting card to sell as a card after grading, just because, you know, if it's a 9, you make about the same. If it's a 10, you make significantly more. So let's go back and let's use Josh Allen. Let's use Josh Allen as our next example. And actually, RC told me I could use these, so thank you, RC. So Josh Allen rookie card. This is a great one just because we are going to have a lot of comps on this. So we're going to put 2018 Prism Josh Allen 205. Okay. Again, put it in however you'd like. Whatever helps you remember it, but I'm doing it this way just because we're going to do a quick search. So we're going to pop that in. So right now it's just looking up graded cards, okay? So graded looks like a PSA 9's $80, 110. We're not looking for color. We're just looking for the base. $100 for a base. Interesting. But again, not graded. Sorry, not auctioned, just kind of went at that number. But it looks like right around 100 is the PSA 9 price. Again, I put PSA 8 just as an option for, especially older cards, you want to look at like 7, 8, 9, but I'll talk about that in a second. PSA 8 recently sold for $60, so we'll just put that in just so we know kind of like what the range is. And let's see if we can find a 10. So 10 went for $265. Let's see if we can find a second option, $260. Okay. So 260, 265, I'll just put in 260, right? So let's see what it goes for raw. And so we'll go over here and just click no on graded. So 100, 100, 90, 80, 90, 80. We'll say $90, okay? So again, $90, if it gets a 9, you lose a little bit, right? $20 if you do it on your own, plus shipping, it'll be about $22 to $25, depending on how many you send. With us, it's $27, so you'd lose a few bucks. But if you hit it, 260, right? So you're getting 2.5 times. So again, if you feel strongly it's a 10, great card to send in. And if you want to send it to me and I tell you, hey, look, it's a 9 plus, it's got a real good shot, it might be worth the gamble. Not much of a loss, pretty large gain. So another interesting one. Let's do one more card just as an example. So let's do an older card for fun, because I do get asked, are older cards worth sending? In my opinion, the answer is always yes. Because if a card like this Mickey Mantle gets graded, the value goes up substantially, like substantially. So, in my opinion, I would always grade these cards. But that's just me. I also think that whether you're keeping it or not keeping it, getting that thing slabbed so it's protected is good. So I don't know what year this is. I cannot remember the year of Topps this is. 58 is in my head, but I don't know if that's right. So we're going to look real quick and see if we can find it. So it's close to this year range, which is 62, but that's not the same card. I do also have the 58. Let's do this one, sorry. Just for ease, I know that this is the 1958 All-Star, which means it's probably a 59. But let's just do that one because that'll be a little bit easier. So we'll look this one up. Topps. Let's see, Sport Magazine. Mickey Mantle. Yeah, so it pulls it up as 1958. And what's cool about PSA cards once you see them is you can click in and see. It's a 1958 Topps Mickey Mantle All-Star. Perfect. That's what we need. So let's look that up real quick. 1958 Topps Mickey Mantle All-Star. It's right there. So we'll scroll down to that one. So this one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to start at like PSA 3, and we'll go 3, 4, 5 here, just to give an idea. So a PSA 5 is about 280. So again, this is not PSA 10. You'd probably want to have a different section for older cards. So 280, you can see an SGC 5 is 255. A 4 is about 175. A 5, again, 280. A PSA 2 is like 130. But you can see raw, it goes for like 40 bucks. Right? Raw, 40 bucks. This one is a good looking raw. It's interesting, the range that they can go for when they're raw, depending on how they look. So what we're going to do is let's go, because we want to do 3, 4, 5, right? So we've got a 5 up, so here's a 3. 3's going for like, let's say 135 there. And then let's pull that down, and let's look at a 4. And the 4s are going for just under 200, like 160 to 190. So let's just put that in as like 175. And then let's go back up here, pull the grade, and let's just look at raw versions, so ungraded. And so this card, just so you can kind of see it, it's got some staining. I think it's going to probably be a 3 or a 4 is my guess. Corners and edges are pretty good, but it is very off-centered. So you can see it's a thick edge here and a very, very, very thin edge here. So I'm guessing it's going to be a 3 or a 4. But just to show, so a card that is a little beat up, 40 bucks. A card that's in okay shape. Let's look at this one just for funsies. Probably in better shape than this one by a little bit, but not much. But is selling for like 130, right? So you put raw in at 130. Oops. 130. So looking at this card, again, just a very interesting example. I do think just grading it is valuable in the sense that at least people know. But yeah, you could sell it for raw for about 130. So if it gets at least a 4, you do fine. And if it gets a 5, you do very well against what you could sell it possibly raw for. The nice thing, again, once it's graded, is you get a little bit more locked in on the value, if that makes sense. In other words, if it grades a 3, you know it's going to be there. If it grades a 4, you know it's going to be more there. Because there's a significant amount more cards selling for that range. The raw cards, I mean, 35 bucks, 125, 100 and 250, but that one, no, it's pretty off-centered left to right. This one's well-centered, but it's not great around the edges. So I think in general it's a winning card, but you can see how this can help you at least make a decent decision because, again, raw, it's probably more like 100 raw. So you really don't lose as long as it gets a 3, 4, or 5. if that makes sense. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of an idea on how to do a little bit of research and kind of see what, let's see, I'm going to insert a row above just so we can see, because this was, again, PSA 3, PSA 4, and PSA 5. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea of kind of how it works. Kind of different, but there you go. So real quick, let's jump over to the Facebook group. If you guys are curious, links are in the description. You guys can check out the Facebook group there. We got a great group. Super fun in the group, but I posted the question. Let's see if there were anything else that I should cover. As long as it starts running decently fast. Okay, here we go. So I posted the question, what should I send to Josh at PSA? My phone and everything's going nuts right now. Love some feedback. Here we go. View the answers. I don't like the way they've changed this for PC. I think it looks good. So Leo says, usually I do half PC, half hold to sell, pays for itself. I like that. I like if you put a couple to sell in there, it can help to offset the cost of sending your cards in. Let's see, figure out why you're getting your cards graded. Obviously, is a great starting point is why are you doing it? Are you doing it for profit, personal collection? In both cases, he says I'm a good resource. I appreciate that, but trying to get to the crux of it. So yeah, not a ton there, but yeah, I was hoping people would have a couple more thoughts just because I think it's fun to talk it out, but yeah, more or less, it's a question of what your end goal is, what you're hoping to get out of it. But just to show you guys how we do things and how it works, here's our PSA process. So step one, take a picture of the cards. You can reach out to me, Graded Investors, Facebook, email, whatever's easiest. You ship the cards in here. Once I receive the cards, I'm going to shoot you a message just saying, hey, received the cards. And then I'll make a video. My goal is 72 hours to get a video out to anybody who sends cards in. At that point, once you have your video, you're going to go over your cards and decide, okay, based on what you've said, I'm going to send in these cards, maybe not these cards. And then you can pay for your cards immediately. You don't need to until they're completed. And getting the cards done can take a couple of months. So just so you guys kind of know, that's the process. If you guys have any questions, definitely reach out. Gradedinvestors@gmail.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. And if you want links to the other stuff, again, links are in the description down below, and I can shoot the links over to you if you're curious. But that gives you guys hopefully a real good idea. So like I said, this was a one shot. I just wanted to go over everything with you guys. Hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea of how to figure out, is the card worth sending or is it not? Am I increasing the value on the card, or is it better just to sell it raw? We're in a weird place right now where somehow raw cards are worth about the same as a 9, which, as somebody who looks at cards all the time, 9s are worth more than raw. They should be worth at least, I would say 20% more than raw. And it should at the very least cover the slab. The caveat is, the catch, people really do think that every card could be a 10. It's definitely not true. I mean, I can look at a card for centering and go, look, that's rarely if ever going to get a 10. I'm talking like 80% that's a 9. Even if everything else is really, really good, because the centering is just off that much. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next year to 2 years how things shift. You have Tag coming in that Tag says, hey, look, we're almost perfect on centering because it just goes through a computer algorithm. I would argue you can't be perfect just because everything's different, but they can be consistent, which is good. But yeah, a lot of our cards go to PSA, and so if you're looking for value there, we get to send in, like I said, this month's going to be about 650 cards. So your cards get to travel with a lot of other people's cards. So it lowers our shipping costs and it gets us that discount. So that's kind of nice. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments. I really do pay attention to the comments, and I do respond basically to every message. If I missed anybody, I apologize, but I basically try to respond to every message and just give you guys additional feedback or answer any questions. Because whether you're sending them in yourself or you're looking for somebody to partner with, One of the best values with partnering is that if you are having a tough time just pulling the trigger on getting it done, we do that. But if you're sending them in yourself, I will definitely give you feedback. If you said, hey Josh, I just want to send you a couple photos of some cards and get an idea of whether or not you think they're centered, I think they are, can you give me your... Yeah, send them over. It takes me a second. I don't mind. But anyway, appreciate you guys very much. If you guys need anything else, do not hesitate to reach out. Again, always here to help. We're a community. We're looking to have fun with sports cards, whether you're collecting, looking to make a few bucks, a little bit of both. Me personally, I do everything. I like to sell a few cards. I like to keep a few cards. I'm investing in the future. I would say largely I just collect, but that's just because I really just love some cards. They're just phenomenal, and I'm looking at my board over here just going, God, I love those cards. And I want more of these vaulted vinyl displays because they are incredible. But anyway, appreciate you guys. Vaulted Vinyl, sponsor the channel. Appreciate you guys very much. Again, comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what more information you guys need. Appreciate you guys. I'm out.